Hello, YouTube. So I just spent some time watching the first week of the Chauvin trial, and I already had some opinions about the institution of policing already. Well, let me back up. First thing I'd like to say is everything I'm about to express is my opinion. Okay, it's based off my opinion, or I say it's my opinion because um, I don't have facts about a lot of this stuff, and I'm not going to take the time to go look up the facts. Um, I might, but right now I don't have those. So this is my opinion. Um, and some things have a very strong opinion about. Some of the things I'm going to be very vague about. And the reason is because I just don't understand them. First things that I do want to say is my opinion is based off of it's directed more at the Chauvin case. This is what this is about. Um, I will touch upon some other subjects, but this is what I've learned from the Chauvin case, and boy, I'll tell you, I noticed a lot of things. Um, a lot of it is concerning. A lot of it is stuff I wouldn't have even really thought about, but in the end, it's just my opinion. Um, One of the first things I want to say is this is just the state's side of the trial, so I can't make a full opinion based on the entire trial. It it's not complete. Um, One thing I will say is that I I think Derek Chauvin and well, definitely Derek Chauvin. I think he deserves what he enacted on another human being. Um, there's certain physical indicators. Now, again, this is my opinion, but there's certain things when you watch those videos from those different angles that just say that he was enjoying some of the things he was doing. And again, this is my opinion. Um, well, let's not even say he was enjoying. There's things that indicate that he did not have the capacity to not know what he was doing, or to not know he was inflicting pain and he was torturing another human being. And that alone, a monster like that shouldn't be in society. Um, let alone should that type of individual have any type of connection to law enforcement, to first responders. I mean, we just got a perfect example of what this type of individual is capable of doing. Um, that video was taken on a phone, and yet it was presented to us like a movie. The trial itself, well, it's showing, in my opinion, it's showing the disconnect of an individual to his institution, but on multiple levels, it's showing the disconnect of that one particular institution to the individuals that represent it, as well as that institution's disconnect to the other institutions that are supposed to support it. That in itself is bothersome. that you have one institution that is part of a network to keep a system running, to keep people safe, to make a make people feel justification, yet an individual in one of those institutions, also another individual, according to what this trial has shown, they empowered themselves, and I'm not going to say they wanted to take a life, but their actions took a life. Their actions and inactions took a life. And they made it so others could not assist that individual in desperate need, which put them into mental distress. Is that really the type of individual that you want? How do you say? Do you want that type of individual representing a first responder? I wouldn't. Derek Chauvin as a first responder is a terrible example. If you look at everything as a whole that's going on in this country right now, there's some of you that are cheering on what Derek Chauvin did. And we're not going to get off into why you're cheering him on. We know why you're cheering him on. We know the mindset. It's easy to talk about it and point the finger. But one thing about when you point a finger, you're pointing three fingers at yourself. And my thought behind that is when you point at the people who are just simply smiling because they have their reasons, there's really nothing to talk about with you. Go ahead and smile. Karma will get your ass. We'll get you. But for the individuals that are looking at this picture for a whole, Derek Chauvin represents an individual that we're typically taught only exists in our nightmares. But he exists in an institution that we're taught to believe is supposed to serve us in some capacity as well as protect us. What that individual in that institution did was he opened up the doors so that we could see what type of different mindsets are present in this institution. And unfortunately, my opinion on some of the different mindsets is, well, each one has its own unique title and definition. But to start getting off into those, it would take a lot of time. And that's not what I'm here for. Derek Chauvin's trial and what the prosecutors have shown as presented as their evidence has shown the police officer Derek Chauvin's disconnect with not only the community, but with his job creed. I don't know if what he would be protecting and serving while he was doing what he was doing. But what I do know is I know when I see somebody disconnect, that blank stare, looking around, whether or not any point in time he was doing his job, there was a moment in time where he was disconnected from all of it. And when you have those type of individuals around you, you it takes a not just one or two minds for those two peoples to those individuals to exist. In an institution, those people they can run around rampant, but it's a mindset of a group of people. And I personally don't understand how anybody could feel safe with knowing that these groups of people are running around. Um, you, I'm not going to start laying where what groups of people are bringing these types of things into existence or keeping them going. But what I will say is Derek Chauvin's trial, if you watch the trial, you're going to watch how he was not. There were two, I don't know if you call them rookie cops. I don't know what you call them. I have no idea. Me personally, I'm not particularly fond of police because I've seen what good and bad policing does, and they're this is one thing I'm gonna say. You can say that there's some bad apples, but those bad apples make them all the whole bunch bad apples. And here's why: bad apple juice. That one apple will make all of the juice bad. You know, they protect each other. You know, the bad apple forces the good apples to become bad by just simply turning away and looking away. You know, and how long is it going to be before one of those bad apples or one of those groups of bad apples decides to, or it's one of your relatives or somebody you're close to, or maybe your autistic child that just happened to be there off in their world? You know, when is it, does that group of police officers that are able to disconnect, or even worse, don't have the capacity to reconnect when they disconnect? What happens when it's one of your loved ones or somebody you cherish? You know, or I don't have children, but imagine this. Imagine your child comes home and they have a story, and that story is of how a group of men in uniforms that they were taught to protect them. Imagine if that group all of a sudden came out of nowhere and took their friend away from them, and they were just having fun. We're just going to leave that with you. You know, that's what Chauvin did. He took a man from his family, the people he loved. He made other people he made other people predators. You know, a lot of lives got changed. Like, there's lives that got changed in ways that when they woke up that day, they never could have dreamed that their lives were going to change in the way it did. You know, there's a lot of things that can be said about this, and I look forward to what this next week and what the prosecution will use as their witnesses. This is definitely something different to talk about for me, and it's definitely something to think about. Again, these are my opinions. I don't know what the facts are. It's what I've watched in the case. You know, something that really hit me was when the head Minneapolis police officer gave his opinion about what Officer Chauvin did. You know, I really thought that I was going to, according to the law, according to what everything says, I thought I was going to actually have to just bite the bullet and say, okay, this man was just doing his job. I thought I was going to say Officer Chauvin was doing his job. But when the head Minneapolis police officer said that, disagreed with what Officer Chauvin did, that's when Officer Chauvin became a civilian to me. That's when I realized that he did commit murder. He took a person's life. That's what happened in my opinion. In the court of law, I'm not the court of law, so I can't. That's neither here nor there. But based off what I've seen in the trial of Mr. Chauvin, that man, well, I'll put it this way: if there's people like that in the police force, then we are in desperate need of the overhaul of the police force. Mental instabilities come at all levels. Mental instabilities it doesn't care about ethnicity. It doesn't care about your skin color. It doesn't care about your age. It doesn't care about your monetary connection. It doesn't care about any of that. And there's two sides of it. There's a side of it where people use it to enact pain on others, and there's a side of it where people use it to enact pain on themselves. And that's a whole nother conversation. But in this trial with Derek Chauvin, I firmly believe that we watched a man that knew he was in the last moments of his life. Now, I'm not going to say that Derek Chauvin knew he was going to take that man's life. He did not. I don't think he knew he was going to take George Floyd's life. But here's the issue. When Derek Chauvin put his knee in the middle of George Floyd's, I apologize. When Derek Chauvin put his knee, or combinations of knees, in the middle of George Floyd's neck and back, there were moments in there where he looked like he was enjoying taking George Floyd's life. And that is well, I just put it there. Somebody said something on another social media thing that I think of. That's where George Floyd, when I say George Floyd and what I was saying are two different things. I don't know why I just got lost in what I said, but I don't know. Derek Chauvin, he belongs where that particular friend was talking about. I'm not going to get off into that because it's a very for me it's a visually funny picture, but it's also a graphic thought, and I'm not going to try and paint that image for anybody. But I will try and get some videos made throughout the rest of this trial. See you throughout. Have a good one.